Welcome to the Dee Dee and Lital Show. Advice, thoughts, and stories from a married couple on cybersecurity, technology, and life in general. Now here are your hosts, Dee Dee and Lital.
Hello, everybody. I don't know what I'm doing because usually it's Lital giving the intros because she's the radio voice and the voice of reason and other things. But she is getting Leah into college in Israel and dealing with Omri's shit, who's also in Israel, as we are all hoping that Israel will stay out of this round of conflict. And I have no idea if that's going to happen or not. But we do have a guest with us. Dennis, introduce yourself again, because Dennis was like on episode 4 of the show.
Wow.
That means like we're 4 years of the Didi and Lital show or something like this.
Happy anniversary.
Yes, because Dennis mentioned that the last time he was here
was when the last World Cup was playing.
World Cup was playing. Somebody
and
will
last time it was with Lital. Now I feel like I'm the replacement wife.
Yes.
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I certainly feel honored to, be your plus one today.
If you remember how Yana used to call me.
Yes, it is true. My wife used to call him sister wife.
Yes. From when the big, what was it? The show called? Big Love.
Big Love, yes.
Big Love.
When Big Love was going on and Didi and I were working on our startup for Cisco and, we're talking multiple times a day, every day till like late into the night. Those are, of course, awesome times.
Yes. Yes. So, Dennis, let's reintroduce you. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So my name is Dennis, and I have spent most of my career in cybersecurity. More recently, I founded a new company called D2, as you can see on my shirt. And the problem we're trying to solve is to help people roll out AI, roll out agents in the enterprise.
Dennis, let me stop you.
Okay.
Because you kind of suck at this intro thing. So let's start again. I was Dennis. I was born in the Soviet Union. Do a little bit of, give us a color about who the human is, which we know is not much because this is listened by our friends, so they know the human section. Start with I was born in the Soviet Union, whereas Estonia and blah, 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 blah.
That's true. That's true. So it does go way back. I am Dennis. I was born in the Soviet Union. And the reason I say Soviet Union is because when I was born, that's what it was. And when I left, that's what it was. I left in Germany for quite a while. And right after I moved to Germany, of course, the Soviet Union collapsed and the place where I was born became Estonia. So you can say I'm Estonian, you can say I'm Russian, sometimes people pick up the German part of my accent because that's where I learned English. But the reality is, I maybe don't belong anywhere because every language I speak with an accent. Anyway, I moved here to Boston as a teenager. So I finished high school right here, kind of came in the middle of sophomore year and went to college right here in Boston. And stayed around, married, had kids, and I guess...
How many kids?
Stuck. 2 kids. My kids are now 14 and 16.
How many dogs and cats?
Oh, God. So I have a dog, and I have 1 cat. And, my recommendation to everybody is not to get either. And, the way it goes is like, Daddy, let's get a dog or a cat. And... then there is this promise of, we'll take care of it.
That never happens.
It never happens.
It never
happens. So there are promises up and down, and I walk the dog twice a day, every day, ever since we got the dog.
And I told you you're going to walk him in the snow because that's the shitty part. The thing that nobody thinks about...
No, snow is fine. It's the rain, right?
Yeah.
Because you walk through the snow, you get home. Look, we live in Boston. I was born in Estonia. Like, we used to the cold. It's not that big of a deal. But when it rains and it's slushy and muggy outside, then the dog comes in all dirty, right? And you have to clean the dog in addition to walking her.
Yep. And also, tell us a little bit about how do we meet? How did we get to build shit together?
Yeah, so I fell in love with startups some time ago. I joined my journey there started when I joined BladeLogic, and it was a big success here in New England. It went public, then got acquired by BMC. Then I moved with some of a BladeLogic crew to Aveksa, which is local identity and access management company that got bought by RSA a little bit after, and Didi was on the acquisition side. I was working for the CTO and building some of their strategic projects. We met, we hit it off, had a lot of fun collaborating, and then left together to do a startup for Cisco Systems. At this point, Cisco is doing these spin-out.
It's actually funnier.
Projects.
It's actually funnier.
Even funnier.
Because I come to Dennis and tell him, Dennis, buddy, I'm out of here. And he says, you fuck. How come you're leaving here before me? That was the situation with Dennis. Dennis basically was very disappointed because he said that, I thought that you were going to be an RSA lifer.
I did. So I give Didi a lot of credit for leaving. So right when Aveksa got acquired by RSA, what they have done is they reorganized the engineering structure, and they put the architecture team as a central architecture team. And I'm personally not a believer in these organizational structures. I believe that in order to be effective, in order to effectively work with a team, you have to be on the hook for execution. So you can't be off to the side. And I had that conversation with Didi. I said, look, it's all fine and good. You're part of this central organization, and people will still listen to you for maybe about a year, and then you'll be dead to them because you won't be plugged into what's going on. You won't be under the same pressure. So you're gonna sit here and become a lifer and just write patents all day or whatever it is you do.
Dude,
and then he quit.
Those patents, those are money. Those things is
no,
like...
I understand. Didi had this, money printing machine on the side where he just kept on writing patents and getting bonuses for it. And it's great. It's great for him. But I imagine that would be the rest of his career.
90 patents, buddy.
Because
90 patents just
I thought it was over 100 by this.
That's because I got 15 for CDO.
Oh, I see. It's 90 at RSA.
90 at RSA.
But you have more than 100 granted.
Yeah. Because at CDO, all you guys were lazy fucks, and none of you were willing to spend time with the lawyers.
Yeah, talking about patents, I feel like it's just a side note. It's different now. It's so much easier. I remember this whole patent journey. The first ones I've written were in BMC. So after BladeLogic acquisition, and it was so much work. It was so much work just writing it, explaining it, figuring out all the details. And then, at Cisco it got much easier because it was all delegated to Didi, right? So it was great. And now I think with, a lot of the AI tools that are available that can, fill in all these details for you, and you can keep to the core idea, it's becoming very fast again and not a lot of effort. And it's not just AI use on our side, kind of, let's say on the inventor side, but also AI use on the attorney side. So, when you file these patents, one of the challenges, especially as a young company, is it's very expensive, right? Because you have to pay the lawyers a bunch of money. But they're also leveraging AI, so it doesn't take as many hours to get them filed and get them submitted. And it's opening up again to easy file, like it used to be when Didi did all the work.
Yes. I think initially I thought that first we'll do the episode about your company, and then we'll do the episode about the development stuff. But as we were talking and rolling through this, and we're starting to get into CDO, I think it's worthwhile for us to talk a little bit about how we kind of came up with the development process that we currently have, and how things need to change.
Yeah,
I think I'm looking at the stuff we built back then, and the core model is still, like, until a year ago, as you said, it's probably the best model I've ever worked with. We've adapted with the tooling, we adapted with the styling, but I'll let you start by how we came up with this model, And then
I'll review the model a little bit.
Yes.
I don't want to go too much into depth because I feel it's being disrupted now. But, over a decade ago, we were hard on the Agile bandwagon. And, some of the big pieces we believed in Agile, whether we followed Scrum or at some point Didi switched more to a Kanban mode, or, I did a hybrid between those two, is continuous delivery every week for everybody on the team. Right?
Yes. So first question that we had was 1 week sprints or 2 week sprints. So I'll give a little bit more of the intro of Dennis. Dennis worked with me on CDO, Cisco Defense Orchestrator, Project Lockhart, which was an internal startup for Cisco, which is really cool because it's like learning how to build a startup without building a startup, because you don't need to deal with the investors and you don't need to deal with this. You just need to deal with one big problem, which is GTM, which is we've learned very well how to sell stuff through the Cisco selling machine, which is an amazing thing, by the way, amazing thing.
It's I'll interrupt you there. It's a really important lesson, and not, I would say less so for young companies like we were when we were at Cisco, but it's hugely important for larger companies that get acquired by Cisco. So we saw that while we worked there. Maybe Didi is there again, so he probably sees it. But your success as an acquisition of Cisco depends much more so on how well you integrate with the go-to-market machine of Cisco than whatever it is that you have in terms of innovation, innovative product, how quickly you can make changes, how great your engineering team is. Like, none of that, unless you're making, $2-3 billion in revenue per year, and you can argue about the number. Those things don't matter, right? The innovation, the engineering, whatever. It really matters is, can you integrate with the Cisco's go-to-market machine? And if you can successfully, your revenue just grows, immensely.
Exponentially. One of the things that we were talking while we were waiting is one of my favorite features, and the example of why selling to Cisco matters is the ASA upgrade feature. Because we fought our boss at that time tooth and nail that we want to build this feature. And he was really certain that it's a very complicated feature. And then I looked at the code of the product that was doing this at the time and discovered it was 5 lines of code or something like that. Said, we're going to do that.
Yeah, it was a really interesting project. So Didi, of course, is alluding to it was hard to get buy-in a little bit because it wasn't directly in our mission. So our mission was about policy and policy management, and upgrades wasn't in line with it. But it was very clear that there is a big market need. And, what helped is ASA, in terms of the back end, has solid upgrades. So they don't fail. You go through and you upgrade. That's not to say that you upgrade, you don't have some kind of regression, right? But they don't like stall out or they don't like explode for some unknown reason. They upgrade. But the challenge was, I would say, high level usability is like, how do I upgrade my ASAs? How do I know what upgrades are available? How do I do it remotely? How do I do it at scale? If I wanna, I have 50 of them installed across the country, can I just go with the press of a button, upgrade all of them? And that's a problem that you solved. And that really helped the product grow and be adopted very quickly. It was, it's like that magic use case that you solve, and all of a sudden, people see the value and start pulling the product from you.
Yes, one of the things we've learned is, so first that thing drove our cost numbers through the roof, because that's the thing that gave us the milestone, because everybody wanted this, and it made us very palatable to the sales machine, because the sales machine basically said, do you want fries with that? The second thing is that they were able to sell services, because they say, you know what, now you can upgrade a bunch of them together. And then they were able to say, you know what, this tells you what the patch level is the right thing. So back then, when vulnerabilities were like not as critical as now with Mythos and the other things, the ability to know which vulnerabilities are solved by which patch and things like that, and which was given from the cloud, Basically, somebody able to say, you know what, I have this vulnerability, now I can upgrade. Basically, removed friction from a lot of people. So it immediately became a tool that they wanted to buy and they wanted to use. So this was like a really cool thing.
Yeah, and I think in every startup, that's what you're looking for, right? If you know, if you have skill, you've done it before, you understand the market. I'm going to use soccer analogies. All you have is shots on goal.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you'll get something in. But the more persistent you are, the more you understand what you're doing, the harder you try, the more shots on goal you get. And then you're looking through for this like one thing, maybe it's use case, maybe it's customer, something that puts you on the map and where you can go and start expanding. And for us, it was certainly ASA upgrades.
Yeah.
Is that why Argentina lost? Because they took 0 shots on goal?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And as the great one once said, you score 0. What was it?
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Right?
Yes, exactly.
It's a great quote.
It's a great quote. By the way, in general, Gretzky is probably one of the most quoted athletes in like business schools.
Is that right?
Yeah, because
Makes sense.
Because there's the skate to where the puck will be.
It's you know, whenever we build something in the startup world, you use it a lot, right?
Yes.
You want to, you know, build to where the puck is going.
Yeah. Yep.
Because if you're building to where the puck is, you kind of too late. You know.
Yep.
Means a bunch of other people who already have done it or doing it. So look ahead a little bit. What was the world going to look like, and try to build for that.
Yes.
I would also caution, at least that's my opinion, how far ahead you're looking, right? If you're looking 20 years ahead, you know, you'll
Yes.
run out of money before, you know, before you get anything. You know, think through, you know, what you can do, and, you know, what the world will be in the next few years and what your milestones there are, because as you get funding, as you build, you know, you only have, you know, burn rate for so long, whether it's 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, it's never 8 years, right?
Sometimes it's like there's a saying that the first bird gets the worm, the early bird gets the worm, but they say the second mouse gets the cheese. Sometimes you do need to let somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can do being first mover is hard, right? But being a fast follower is easier, right? You copying something others have done, and certainly plenty of, you know, startups, big companies have seen a lot of success having first mover advantage.
Yes. So we started off when we were dealing with CDO. As I said, we learned about the machine. Now let's talk a little bit about building software, because this is a fun part. So we had a whole bunch of agile enthusiasts in the company. You remember?
Yeah.
And everybody wanted the 2-week sprints. What did we say?
No, we said no. I mean, it was a long time ago, but I remember it like yesterday. And there are 2 stories on the 2-week sprint. The first one, you know, I said no, right? Because if you do a 2-week sprint and then you want to go to 1-week sprint, you can't. You just will never be able to, or it will be really hard. If you do 1-week sprints, and one day in the future you realize, hey, that was a mistake, let's go to 2-week sprints, it's very easy to do, right? All of a sudden you have more room. And the other one too is we made the decision very early, and you know, I was like, well, what do you mean 2 weeks? You kind of don't know what we're doing, right? We like changing our mind all the time. The information comes in all the time. I don't want people to be stuck on something for 2 weeks, right? Without really a demo, without getting some continuous feedback. Let's do 1 week. We see, we iterate, we like review, and you know, we'll build a better product that way. And we did. So we started with 1 week, and every once in a while there was some grumbling of like, maybe we should go to 2 weeks. And I'd always give the engineering team this deal. I would say, look, because there would be multiple Scrum teams, right? So it won't be like one team operating 1 week. So for the multiple teams, it would be the same schedule. And I would tell who was leading the given Scrum team, look, you can go to 2 weeks. You just have to promise me, I would say sign in blood, that you will get more done in the 2 weeks than you can do in 1 week. And if you can, go for it. We'll just do 2 weeks. Everybody else will do 1 week, and we'll go with it. And nobody has ever taken me up on that.
Yes.
No, they say, oh, okay. They thought about it, like, nah, you're not going to get more done. You stick with 1 week. But
Excuse me, Didi, if you don't mind, through the magic of ChatGPT,
Yes.
just called up 10 examples of when the second inventor or owner of a product won the day rather than the first. Examples include Friendster came before Facebook, Netscape came before Google Chrome, the Palm Pilot came before the iPhone, etc. I don't know whether you agree with this, but I think that's part and parcel of what you're talking
Yes.
about, Dennis.
it happens a lot.
I think in general, the couple of examples of exactly this that was really, 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 really important is that BlackBerry came before the iPhone, and it paved the way to something that nobody understood. So when the Palm Pilot one I buy less of, but the BlackBerry one is really important because in the BlackBerry movie, one of the things they say is that we sold out all the minutes.
Right.
There's no more minutes to sell.
Yeah, and at that moment, they realized that they had not thought ahead. Yeah,
They need to think of data. That Palm Pilot was geared towards saving on minutes, while eventually the carriers needed somebody to sell data. The other thing that was important is TiVo. TiVo basically changed the way things. It opened up everything for the streaming services, because people started thinking that they need. Once they had the machine, they were starting to think of the streaming service. They weren't ready to think. It's like some of these countries, some of those inventions, basically created the roads to be sold by the cars that follow them.
Right. And I remember when TiVo came out, I thought it was a brilliant, exquisite project in terms of usability.
Yeah.
And to this day, I don't know if I've had a DVR that behaves as well as TiVo, but I guess what you're saying is the problem was they were selling. Once they sold that, they were stuck. Yeah,
They were stuck.
Yeah.
Versus the streaming service that created the other model that was a lot better financially.
Right.
By the way, we were talking about there's like this thing floating around about 20 things you've ever done, and one of the things was, did you ever rent something in Blockbuster? And in Israel, Blockbuster died a lot sooner
Interesting.
than it died in the U.S. So Blockbuster got to its peak in around 2004 in the U.S.
Sounds about right.
By that time, it was already declining in Israel. Declining because it's a small country. Soon as broadband came in, everybody was downloading free shit.
Right. Yeah.
And handing each other DVDs. Nobody was renting any more DVDs because the country had like a very loose interpretation
of the law.
Copyright
law.
Copyright law. And
Does it stand as a testament to the reverse, to the ability to pivot what Netflix did? I'm sorry, I didn't phrase that well, but in other words, Netflix, in its original incarnation, essentially became extinct, but they were able to keep the brand so strong that they were able to deliver streaming.
Yeah, so a lot of startups, right? But still, some of these large companies that pivoted from their original idea, original premise to something new, I'm always very impressed. So in case of Netflix, it of course happened early on, right? So early on they pivot to streaming and they stayed to streaming since. But there are also examples of these larger companies doing that, few examples, and succeeding big. Like if you think of Apple, right? As a company existed for many, many years. And it was doing fairly poorly. The younger viewers might not know that, but they had to take money from Microsoft to be bailed out, and Microsoft gave them money because otherwise it would have been a monopoly. And then they did the whole OS X piece, and they had the iPad and iPhone, and they totally changed what they are as a company. So they went from let's sell desktops, let's say PCs to schools or Macs to schools to being a phone company and enjoyed immense success.
Actually, I gave this example to my team because they pivoted twice. They started, what was the most successful product Apple had in 2001?
The iPod?
The iPod.
Yeah.
In 2004, 2005, when Lital and I got married, I was looking for an iPod mini, and I couldn't find an iPod mini because they killed the iPod mini to build the line of the iPhones.
Yeah.
Basically, he did the Cortez burn the ships.
We're not going back.
I saw it like even I'll give an even early example from Apple. So they had this Apple operating system. It was called OS 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got to OS 9, and that's what schools were using. And then Steve Jobs came in, bought a company and,
Next.
and called it OS 10, which was a totally different operating system, right? It was akin to going from Windows to Mac today, right? It was entirely different. And you couldn't take any application from the old operating system and run the new one. And you're just like, they'll kill the old one. We live in a new world now.
Yeah.
And it worked. It was pretty amazing. I also would say that they're not the only ones. I give a lot of credit to Microsoft.
Yep.
Kind of being tied to Windows and the Office suite. They create this huge business in the cloud, Azure, and that was very successful. But other than that, if you look, a lot of the big companies, they typically have one line of business that prints money and continues to print money. And they use that to invest in, new ventures, new pieces, and new things that they're doing. But none of them take off as big and as rapid as the original idea. So it's really, really hard to do. So I guess what I'm saying is that there are large companies that do pretty cool innovation as well. I feel like kind of these drastic big changes in their strategy don't happen often.
Yep.
And also oftentimes they're disastrous, but sometimes they're incredible. So both Apple, Microsoft, there are a few other examples too, but I give them a lot of credits for what they did.
The other thing that we did way back when we kind of got sidetracked, one of the things that I really liked that we did, at least my team did, my side of the house did, because eventually we parted ways.
We
in
did
2017.
We went to different paths.
Yes.
You stayed in cybersecurity.
Yes.
And I decided to do adventure and life sciences.
Which life sciences suck? Let's be honest. That space is so slow. They refuse to innovate.
Well, no, I disagree. They just refuse to innovate and where I want to innovate.
Yeah.
So if you look at life sciences, and we're actually in the right part of the world, Cambridge, Massachusetts is the center of the world for life sciences. So
nope, they're bailing like no tomorrow.
I don't know. Pick your center of the world.
Yes.
For life sciences. I still maintain it's Cambridge, Massachusetts.
It's the bridge of New Hampshire. It's the border of New Hampshire. Thermo Fisher moved there. What's their name? Everybody else moved there because they don't like the taxes. The millionaire tax is driving innovation out, especially in the space that takes forever to build.
So I see. So when you say center of the world, you just moved 1 hour away. I thought you would say, something San Diego.
No.
Somewhere. Okay, I got it. So it's
Nashua, New
same
Hampshire.
But the innovation is in biology, right? And kind of curing rare diseases, understanding DNA, therapeutics, where you get drugs specifically for your strain of, say, cancer and not something generic. And that's very cool, right? And that innovation is moving forward. I guess as fast as it can, right? Because in order to bring a drug to market, you do have a lot of red tape that you have to go through. But we are on the lab automation side, so software side, hardware side, and that was stuck. And kind of that innovation and move forward was at a glacial pace. Unlike in security, that's why I like security. Everything moves fast. Everything is quickly relevant. And new threats come up. People always want to get the, new ways to protect themselves. And it's a very innovative space and a very fast-moving space. So I'm back. I decided that's what I'm going to stick with. No more side adventures for me.
Yep. So tell us how you build software these days.
So software is, so it goes, let's pick up the thread of our processes and how we build it. So I'll start with saying, I believe the approach that was valid 2 years ago of let's be agile, let's deliver something weekly basis, do the demo. It's no longer the right approach. It was maybe up to a year ago, maybe more than up to a year ago, but now it's different. And I don't think anybody really cracked what the new process should be to build software. I see a lot of people experimenting, a lot of people taking slightly different approaches. Some see a lot of success, a lot of like engineering productivity gains. Some have, see fake productivity gains where, yes, engineers deliver a lot of code, but then you end up building on sand versus on something solid. And also kind of how you build, I believe, today continues to change. I think the reason we haven't landed as, tech community on something new like the new Agile, right? The new, best practices engineering process is because, I said before, what was good a year ago or so is not good now, but also what was good 6 months ago is also not good now because, the space is continuing to evolve and, your ability to leverage AI continues to evolve. And what you can have it do also continues to evolve. So our processes need to continue to evolve. And what I see, kind of how we work, do we have time? Can I go through it?
Yeah. Don't worry. We have until 7:30. You have.
All right.
Go.
Right. So it started with, right, let's use AI as an example. It started as key example. It started with, okay, I'm going to have AI fill in some of the code for me. So developer kind of efficiency. So it's, code completion. And then went to, okay, AI can write some code for me, right? And then it went to AI can write good code for me. So it's not like code that, didn't work half the time or would have subtle defects that you need to dig into, but like good code, right? Code that you would expect from an above average engineer. And then how we went from individual contributors, now we went more to the notion of a team lead, right? So now, yeah, I write some code as an engineer, and I have my agents write code, let's say as, years ago, folks who would be part of my team, and then I review what they've written to make sure it all hangs together and all makes sense. And then we move past that world because AI became good enough to take that position of a senior engineer, right? Where it would deliver good designs, it would spin up sub-agents, and it would deliver good implementations. And then we switched, okay, kind of what's our way to interface with AI now? So we moved to, it's funny, writing ADRs, so architecture decision documents, where we capture what our, how we want to evolve our architecture, why and what it should look like. So, markdown files, right? So if you think like back before Agile and Waterfall kind of specs of what the software should do, and then we would iterate with it with AI, get to good state, and then go send it to execute on it. So then as a team, we started to really granularly and for a long time sync up and review what these ADRs are, because now kind of our integration became not that of, let's say, team lead, but more of, let's say, director of engineering, right? There's like, hey, what is my team of 30, 50 people actually building? So give it to me in information that I can understand, because I can't read all the code that all the 50 people have written. But what I can get is like what the overall architecture looks like, how it fits together, and whether moving it forward in this direction makes sense. So it's all right, let's kind of focus on the ADRs and make sure they're solid, the architecture is solid, and then have AI go and execute on pieces of that. And now I'm noticing that this was my conversation just earlier with the team, is it's also becoming too much of a mental load, because I see these documents, and just my background. I've read code. I reviewed plenty of code. Every startup I was in, when I was writing code or running the engineering team, I would always be deeply in what is being built and how it's being built. And I'm reading these documents, and it's this big mental load. Like really, it's AI is very efficient at writing docs, very efficient at covering a lot of the details, and kind of going through it, reviewing, making sure the architecture makes sense. It's actually quite a bit of work. It's not new work, right? If you think back like years ago, during our RSA days, when Didi was part of the central architecture team, that was essentially his job, right? His job was to take a look at what the architecture was of some product line and make sure it makes sense. That was a tougher job because you would never get the inputs as an architect that you need in order to review it. And then once you make comments, somebody would actually listen to you. It's different with AI. Like, it gives you the exact inputs you need. It gives you whatever you want. And then whatever you tell it to do, it'll actually go and do it. So then the reviews need to be in depth. And we notice our ADRs just, staying open as PRs for days. And I feel like now we need to move up kind of another level up, more of like a VP of engineering, right? Where you have, let's say, 100 people or whatever working for you. And you need an even high level of abstraction. So even the ADRs and reviews of them, reviews of your architecture, you do with the help of AI, where it's, summarizes key pieces of it and lets you, interviews you about the architecture, or you interview it about the architecture and see if it hangs together from, your areas of expertise. So maybe, hey, I'll review it for security. Another person on the team reviews it for deployability. Another reviews it for performance and high availability. And then boom, you put the agents on and it starts executing. So it keeps them moving like higher in the stack, and more can be delegated. And this kind of my last thought is, there's always this danger of like, hey, I lose control, right? And then it'll all go to shit, like how can we prevent that? But I also claim that was always the case, right? I
think this is the thing that people forget. First, there's what you like to call code rot. So no matter what you do with a product, it will rot.
Yeah.
And let's say I'm in charge of this product called ICE. It was written 20 years ago. If somebody tells me that they can actually understand what happens in every line of code in that product, I know that they're full of shit. Because it's a combination of C and Java and JNI.
Yeah, this is where we have an advantage now too. Like if our older folks, if you think back working on enterprise software, which would exist, like ICE for many, many years. If you join in as a new member of the team, you'd come in and you'd spend quite a while, maybe 30 days, quarter, longer, just learning. And it's not that you can't contribute, but you wouldn't get everything. You just spend time of learning how the product works and where the bodies are buried. And I know it's simple with AI now, right? You can point, give me an architecture diagram of what this does.
Yeah, but
right?
you still need to have the sense.
You need to have the sense, but what I'm saying is, you accelerate it now, right? And also I feel like the cost of mistakes is now lower as well. For example, I go back to architecture. Let's say we made some architectural decisions, and some of them were suboptimal. It happens, right? And how do you prevent it? You can, review it for a long time and then analyze it for a long time. And that's one approach, right? And maybe that's a traditional approach. Or you can, review it less, make sure there's obviously something wrong, kind of go with it. And if you then later on realize that, hey, one of the subcomponents here isn't right, we should have designed it differently. Redesigning it is not as hard anymore. All right. You go back, update your ADRs, update your documents again. Now the state of architecture has changed, and you can leverage AI to re-implement that component. And it's not as difficult. I mean, all your testing is still in place. You can still validate functionally that it works. You still validate the scale performance up to par. So, where am I heading is we need to find this right way now to interact with AI and interact with our product to continuously build faster. And it's tricky because more and more is possible every month. But if you're not doing that, we're falling behind. One advice I give a lot of my friends and former colleagues is honestly if they work for a big company, to quit and go work for a startup, to put themselves in a position where they absolutely have to adopt AI, leverage AI, and be successful with it. Because I do believe we now will get this, big differentiator of folks who are AI native and really AI accelerated, and other folks who like early on that journey.
Yep.
And I recommend everybody I know to work really, really hard to be on this side, to adopt, right? To find ways to make yourself significantly more productive, because you want to be on that side of the equation. You don't want to be on the side of the equation where your throughput is 1/10 of what it is of some of the AI native folks.
So I'll tell you that I think that there is an advantage of being in big evil corporation.
Here we go.
No, I'll tell you why. So this Dennis Useless guy came to me once when I was still at RSA. And he says, "You know why your job sucks?" I said, No, Dennis, tell me why. He says, "You're an architect.
And I have a team.
And I have a team. So I don't need to listen to you." By the way, I use this all the time. Every PM, every designer, every somebody that doesn't have a team, I tell them, you can write documents. I don't care. I have the team. I build shit, therefore I can make whatever decision I want. So
This, I think, it's always been the advantage of being in charge of engineering.
Yes.
Right? It's, you are the function that can build stuff.
yes,
And, maybe it's not good in arguments to not listen to the other party, but look, when it comes to it, if we believe something in engineering, we can build it.
yes,
If you believe something in product or UX, you can't build it. And I understand people say, with AI they can build, but it's not the case. You still have the large team of experienced engineers, hopefully AI-enabled engineers who will build much faster.
Look, AI makes Sean, Yana, and Anton a lot faster. These guys are machines. They basically now replicate the machines. So they're able
it's
able to be a lot more.
Didi, you have a team of
right.
hundreds of people. Like don't pick three, right?
Look,
I'm talking. This is general advice.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Look, but my point is that I have the thing. It might change tomorrow morning, but we acquired a company, and they said, "Hey, how do we're having a problem charging our tokens?" I said, "What tokens?" I said, "Yeah, we're still using the old cloud." I said, "You guys stupid?" I pointed them to our cloud, and they said, "Oh." I said,
Yeah, I can see the advantage of having unlimited token budgets. Like I have been continuously running out of tokens, and so bad. Like I told my team, sometimes I feel like total junkie of keep on going back to Anthropic and just buy more tokens every day. Not enough time to talk about that, but we now starting to deploy local models to kind of offset some of that token usage because they're getting so much better now.
Yes, and one of the things that I want to cover before we kind of leave is tell me what were you super excited when you met me today about the PR? You committed a PR that is what size?
Yeah, so today I merged a PR, and actually what I didn't tell Didi is actually in the public repo too. So if you look for it, you'll find it. It was 153,000 lines of code, roughly. And it's not something that came overnight, right? It's something that required some doing. Obviously, agent assisted. The work was done while I was on vacation. So I went on vacation with my family to Mallorca, and I would have Claude run add several ideas, And then, multiple times a day I would interact with it and restart it. And, a lot of times to buy more tokens, again, like a junkie, right? It's like, oh, it was almost done. Let me buy some more tokens. And worked on it and build up exactly what I want to build. And then it just sat there as a PR for a little while. I have to say maybe in like 2 weeks, because as a team, we're trying to think, okay, what do we do with this? What's the right path to get that in? But to be honest, I also don't take the crown with it. Otto on my team here, 300,000 line PR at one point, rebasing one of the open source projects that we have. So it's some of these things are just insane that are possible today that weren't possible even like a year ago.
Yes. So I will tell you what's the difference between the world of AI in your part of the world and my world of AI. And this is kind of where we'll end here, and then we'll go to tech about what your company does. It's that a lot of times in the companies that we work on, so that I feel very comfortable with letting AI go wild on detection part of the product and other part of the product, like the parts that are surrounding the envelope of the product. But the core parts of the product, I'm still
I'm with you. So the 150 plus thousand line PR, it wasn't core of our product. As much as I love AI and I want to find better and better ways to leverage it, I would still be nervous to have big product core change this way. So it was more in the periphery, where the risk is not as high, and the piece is more forgiving.
I'm always scared shitless because if I have a problem, I take down hospitals, I take down airports. So a little bit more careful. Producer Dave, I think we're coming to a wrap, and then we're gonna have another episode that's really focused on Dennis's new company and his new venture and what problems it solves. So stay tuned with us. This is basically like a 2-part. So think of this as like the cliffhanger. So come back and hear me tell Dennis something.